And we've found another issue. This feed line doesn't have very much feed. It should be about right here, just about the edge of this rim or so, but it's actually way down there. This is right in the bottom. These feeders are empty. This feeder is about empty. That one, all the way down the line. They're all just about empty. And the problem is this little piece that I have in my hand. It's actually, I don't know if you'd call it a gasket or a shield or what you would call it, but there's a micro switch in here that's connected to a paddle that's in here. And what this does is it keeps feed from getting behind the paddle, and that way the paddle works as it's supposed to. If feed gets behind the paddle, it won't move, it won't shut off the micro switch. Feed runs to that end of the house, which, as you can see, there's a partition here, there's a curtain here, so there's no chickens back there, so there's nobody back there to eat the feed. So the end control line is full of feed, and it won't allow the rest of the feed line to run. Now we can go empty the control pan in the back and make the feed line run and fill up. But first, and that's what we're going to do, but first we're going to fix the problem. That way when it gets to here, which is the midway control pan, it'll stop instead of running all the way to the back of the house. That way when chicks empty this pan, the feed line will come back on. We won't have to worry about emptying the pan in the back. So give me just a minute and we'll dig into this, and I'll show you what we've got to do to get it fixed. So what do we have to do to get to this switch and get it fixed? Well, first thing you have to do is you have to take out these two screws. That lets you remove this plate so that you can take the whole pan off of the feed line. Now, if you've got it in two pieces, you can work on it a little better. Here's the cover for the switch. You've got two screws here. You got two bolts on this side. You got two bolts on this side. That lets us remove this switch box, take the whole thing off. And then we've got a couple of more screws and nuts on this side, a couple of more screws and nuts on this side, and then we'll be able to take out the paddle that the gasket piece or the shield or whatever you want to call it is attached to, and then we can change it and put it all back together. All right, got the two screws out. They went right here and right here. I'll take this plate off and I'll lay it over here, put the screws in. That way they don't get lost in the litter, hopefully. This is what it looks like on the underside. Not much different, but you're fixing to see a little difference here. This pipe is the feed pipe. This is the one that has the auger in it that pulls feed from the hopper and comes down. You can kind of see the hole right in here. This is where the feed comes out of the pipe and spills into the pan. Now, I'm gonna set you right here. When we lift the pan up and we take it off the top, now you get an idea of how this thing works. So the hole here, well, there it is. Now you're in focus. You can see the hole there goes all the way down into the pan. The light at the bottom of that hole is shining in through the windows of the pan, so that's all the way through. This piece is the flapper, and that piece has that Mylar piece or shield or gasket or whatever you want to call it over the top of it. Now I don't really understand how it works, where it's at. It doesn't really seem to me like it should, but you know, that's neither here nor there. I'm not the engineer. They know better than I do. So now what do we have to do to get to it? We have these two screws here. You have two bolts on this side. You have two bolts on this side. This side. This cover will come off. Now when this cover comes off, you see a nut here, a nut here, and a nut here, and a nut here. There's a screw that goes through there. That holds this piece that the flapper is attached to onto the pan. We have to take that off so that we can get to the Mylar and get it changed. So let me get some of that apart and then we'll go further. Now we've got the screws and the bolts out. Here's our switch piece. You can see here, you get around here where you can see it. See this plunger? Right here. That is our micro switch. See if you can hear it click. Maybe you did. That is our micro switch. Now this piece, this is the back side of that flapper, and this is what works the micro switch. You can see it moving. Feed comes in here and it fills up the pan. When it pushes the micro switch, the flapper back like that, that pushes on the micro switch and shuts off the feed line. So Now we're down to this part. I got to get got 2 bolts here with screws, or 2 screws and nuts here, 2 screws and nuts here. We'll get those out. We'll pull out the Mylar piece and we'll take a look at what we're up against there. Now let me make one suggestion. When you're working in something like this and you've got little parts like this, put the nut on the screw before you set it down, because if you don't, you're going to hit your pile of screws there. They're going to go flying, kind of like the hubcap and the Christmas Story right before the fudge part. All the lug nuts go everywhere and Ralphie says, "Oh, fudge." Well, that's going to be a very similar occurrence if you don't put your nut on your screw, because when it goes flying, somehow the screws and the nuts go flying in different directions and you can't find them. So just a suggestion. But now here we are. Right here you have a plate and you have a gasket or a shield or a whatever you want to call it. This is the part that we have to replace. You can see there where it's worn on the end. I'm assuming these things just wear from a feed pellet hitting them constantly. You know what I'm saying? This is the new one. Up there where you can really see it. Nice spot of bird duty on it. This is the old one. So that's what we have to fix. While I'm in here, let me show you this. This is the actual flapper. This sits down into the pan. Feed hits it and it rocks back that way. This piece goes out, shuts off the switch. When they eat the feed, the flapper tilts forward. That piece rocks in, switch is open, feed runs. So that's how a feed pan works, a control pan works. I'll see you in a minute. Now here's our new piece installed, ready to go. Should last another 3, maybe 4 years. That'd be good. That's about what the first one did. Now I got to put all this mess back together, and we'll have to go to the end of the house and put a bucket underneath that control pan so that we can empty the line so that it will run to here. And we'll do that. Let me get this control pan put back together, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, we've got the whole control pan put back together. Now we need to adjust the switch to make sure it's going to run. So the way I do that is I stick my finger up in the pan and I pull on the flapper the direction that it's supposed to shut off, and I want to hear it click. See if you heard it click. Maybe you did. It's clicking both ways actually. So there's off. There's where it comes back on. So I don't really have to adjust this one, but the way we adjust it is by this screw right here. You see the spring in the back. This screw moves this box in and out, which in effect moves the plunger on the micro switch in this box in or out, which would make the flapper have to go further or not go as far to either turn off the feed or turn on the feed. So this one's actually right. Maybe you can hear it clicking. I don't know. That's the switch clicking. Maybe you can. I can hear it. I'm further away than you are. So this little job's almost done. We still have to go to the back and run the feed line, empty it out to where this control pan will take over again. So let's go do that. And here we are. We're in the back of the chicken house. This is the end control pan. You can see the feed in it. See these pans are full. They should be empty. This is a product of that Mylar piece wearing and not allowing that feed line in the front to shut off. So what we're going to do is I'm going to unplug the feed line in just a minute. Hold on. Now I'm going to raise it up until I can get a bucket underneath it. About that high. That looks pretty good. Okay. Now I'll twist the bottom pan and it starts to come loose. You can see it coming off there. Now what we'll do, let me see if I can get you up here where you can see it too. Let me find you a place to sit. Right there looks good. So I'm going to shake the feed out into the bucket. Now my pan's empty. So I'm going to slide the bucket underneath the feed line where the feed comes out. Let me turn you guys right side up where you can actually see and I can get my finger out of the way. So now the feed will come out of this part of the feed line, out of this part of the feed pan, run into the bucket. This gives us this much capacity to empty the feed line, and truth be known, it should just run from here to here. I mean, we shouldn't have any more feed in it than that, or not much more, I wouldn't think. So let me plug it up. Whoops, sorry about that. Hope y'all are okay. You can see a little bit of feed coming out. There's not very much in there at all, like I said, so I doubt very seriously we'll even wind up with half a bucket before it's completely done running. But that curtain, that's the other side of that curtain, is where the feed pan is that we were just working on. It's about 150 feet away from me now, so we've got this much feed in the line. We've got this much of a line that's run over. That's just kind of one of the aggravations we run into at times on the farm. Just, you know, parts are designed to wear out. That's why they make parts. So when they do, sometimes it's a little bit of a pain, but that's okay. Still got a little feed running in there. It's slowed way down, so I don't think we'll run much more than that in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it just like this, and we'll be whole housing these birds, meaning giving them beating, pulling the petitions and that curtain up in 2 days, I think it is. So they'll have the whole house. They can come back here, eat the feed. When we whole house, we will put that feed pan back on the bottom and let it run again until it runs all the way to the back. And you know, it'll all be good then. We'll set it down where the birds can eat out of it. They can make it run just like they make the middle pan run, and everything will be hunky-dory after that, we hope. So that's how you repair the Mylar piece in a feed line. Hopefully we don't run into a whole lot more of that, because it's not the most fun thing. It's a little bit aggravating, especially when you have to stand here and run the feed line out. And I may actually have to go get another bucket. There's more in there than I thought there was. But anyway, that's it for now. So that's the lights and Mylars, and hopefully that's all for today. But we'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.